Hi, I'm Ilona Popper, and this is Bear Creek Council's Safety Tips for Living with Wolves with Ty Smucker, Wolf Specialist, Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, and Doug Smith, Head of Yellowstone Wolf Project. Now, if you want to hear more in-depth discussion with these two biologists, we do have a link that will take you to Living with Wolves, an hour and a half talk with question and answers on the same topic, but in a lot more depth. I do want to highlight a few things about these talks. First of all, as you'll hear, wolf attacks are extremely rare. Attacking humans is not in the nature of the wolf. Wolves are wary, even afraid of people. And we're not prey for wolves. Wolves don't generally attack when they're defending cubs. They run or they circle and bark, and they might try to escort you away, but they will never attack. There are known instances of that. And that way, wolves are really different from cougars and bears. And wolves are really different from bears, particularly in that they will not defend their food from you. So if you come across wolves that are eating, they're going to run and hide. That's generally what a wild wolf does. Now, another thing a wild wolf does is it can choose to attack dogs. Wolves are competitive with other wolves. They attack wolves that are not members of their own pack, and they'll treat dogs the same way. But because wolves are afraid of people, if you're there, if you're with your dog, that dog is going to have protection, and the wolf will often just run away, not even interact with you. Ty talks a little bit about flipping on a porch light, stepping out with your dog in the middle of the night. If you're in wolf country, those are good things to do to keep your dog safe. Now, wolves can get habituated. They can come too close to people, and Doug Smith is going to talk about that and about ways of avoiding that. And we are going to talk about what to do if a wolf is not behaving like natural wolf behavior. Depredation comes up in these talks, and I'm just going to highlight one thing. Depredation is when wolves kill livestock, and when wolves do that, it is a hardship for any rancher or for any owner of domestic animals. But wolf-caused depredations are surprisingly low. In Montana, wolf-killed domestic animals, cattle, goats, sheep, dogs, average total per year, 60 animals. Wolf-caused deaths of cattle is 0.001%, 0.001%. Now, if you encounter a wolf in the wild when you're hiking, chances are it's going to be running away from you. Enjoy that glimpse. But otherwise, here are some tips to make sure we all live safely, living and visiting in wolf country, so that the wolves are safe and we're safe too. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Doug Smith. I work with wolves in Yellowstone National Park, and I was part of the original reintroduction crew. So I've had a long time to observe wolf behavior inside of Yellowstone around people in a landscape that's not dominated by people. And that can make wolf behavior a little bit different. So what I'm going to do today is just talk to you about the most important things to do around wolves inside Yellowstone National Park. And talk about the behaviors we want you to pay attention to so wolves can be protected and you can have an enjoyable visitor experience. And really the things to keep in mind is distance and observing wolf behavior. And wolves are a lot like other wildlife. In fact, in a lot of ways, they're safer than other wildlife because they have a natural kind of wariness of people. But mythology and legends and stories have worked against that message. But the key thing is to always be aware and be alert to that wolf's behavior. A wolf around people should probably be moving away, alert, somewhat concerned about your presence. If they're not, if they're moving towards you, If they're not moving away, that might be a wolf that's had a lot of experience with people. It might be slightly unafraid or fearless, which is not good, or it could even be habituated. So the key thing is to keep your distance. Observe that behavior and keep your distance. And the park actually has a regulation for bears and wolves that's different from other wildlife. It's stay away from 100 yards, and you need to maintain that distance. If you keep that far away, you'll be safe and the wolves will be safe. In other words, we won't have to haze or forcibly condition them or even maybe remove them from the population. So keeping that distance is absolutely key. So you observe their behavior. It should be wary, moving away, not hooking onto and coming towards you. And if they do, you want to slowly back up. You want to move away. Don't run. All the things that apply for safety around bears apply for safety around wolves. They're a carnivore, and whenever prey runs from a carnivore, that carnivore is going to chase it. So you just want to slowly move away from that animal. And it goes without saying, just like with bears and other wildlife for that matter, never feed it. Never act like you have food in your hand or something that the wolf may want to investigate. So you're going to back up and try and maintain that distance to stay away. If the wolf continues to approach, hold your ground. Using bear spray is very effective, just like with bears. If you're with other people, come together and stand together. Look big, make noise, flare your jackets into the air, be threatening to that wolf, yelling at it. And if it comes very close to you, you want to hold your ground, and if necessary, fight that wolf off. It's not like a bear where you play dead, but if that wolf's coming at you, you want to stay away from it. The key is to try and keep that distance. If things go wrong, keep in mind, don't run, stay together, and fight. If you lay your pack down, if you keep moving your hand, if you have a camera in your hand, they're going to think food. They could investigate your pack. They could tear it apart. If you're trying to get pictures, they'll think the thing in your hand could be food. So you don't want to move your hands around with something in it that could be an attraction. Why should you care about this? Wolves being habituated to you, wolves not being afraid of you. If they move outside of a park setting, they're going to be more vulnerable to hunting. All the states around the park have a fair chase ethic about hunting. If wolves are used to people or accustomed to them, they're not going to respond to people like they would in a wild setting. That's hard to do in a park anyway, but you don't want to contribute to that habituated behavior. Secondly, even if they never leave the park, we've killed 2 wolves. We've hazed many wolves for being too comfortable around people. You just can't have wolves walking up within a few yards of people. Usually that's from food conditioning. It can occur from other reasons, but it's usually because they've been given food. But we want to train these wolves to, or excuse me, poor word, we want these wolves to not be accustomed to people. So stay at a distance. That is a park regulation. Lastly, if you see improper behavior by wolves, report it to a ranger or at a visitor center. Quite often, these things escalate, and we're the last ones to find out. The rangers have interviewed people that say, oh yeah, I've been seeing this wolf hang around Old Faithful for a couple months. When you see these inappropriate behaviors by wolves, you need to tell a park staffer, a ranger, interpretation center, and let us know so we can let other people know, educate them, possibly haze the wolf, and indicate to other people that this is an issue. So those are the keys. Keep your distance, watch wolf behavior, treat wolves like other wildlife, and you'll have a safe viewing experience. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Ty Smucker. I'm a wolf management specialist with Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks for Central Montana and Eastern Montana. And if you live in Montana or recreate in Montana, I'm going to try and give kind of an overview of what you might run into or expect to run into as far as wolves go. We have a lot of people living in the state of Montana, and within the last year or so, even more people moving here. So people move here because the recreational opportunities, outdoors experience, go hiking, take the dogs out, and all that stuff puts people are living and recreating, in the wildlands with wild animals, including the predators and wolves. So we do have, as Doug Smith was talking about, we have wolves in Glacier National Park and Yellowstone National Park, pretty good source populations, and we have wilderness areas in the state as well. However, the wolves are not confined to those areas. And pretty much we have wolves occurring throughout Western Montana. Anywhere we have deer and elk and forest, we have wolves. In the state, we probably have approximately a little over 1,000 wolves in the state. And we do have hunting and trapping of wolves in the state outside the areas adjacent to parks and whatnot. So one thing, people that either live here or are recreating here, some things you should know, just for the record, attacks on humans by wolves are extremely rare. Be a lot more concerned about running into grizzly bears, black bears, a cow moose with a calf, mountain lions, etc. Wolves have a very innate fear of human beings that is reinforced, particularly outside the park with hunting and trapping now, even more reinforced, but it's part of their repertoire. Especially some of the younger wolves may be naive and not realize, not have seen humans before, so they may be curious. Wolves are also very curious. However, as I mentioned, the attacks on humans by wolves are extremely rare. Judging by movies and mythology, you might think that is not the case, but it is. However, people still have kind of a instinctual fear of humans or wolves, and that's perception and it's part of our human nature, I guess. So one thing to keep in mind, people that are living with wolves in the state, a lot of people move here and they want to feed the deer or the elk or the turkeys, and that is illegal in Montana, but still a lot of people do it. And one thing that does is draws deer and elk and turkeys, game animals, into your close proximity with where you're living, and then following those animals and trying to get food are lions and wolves and bears. So generally it's not a great idea. So, and we, with wolves also, you don't want to be leaving dog food out on the porch. That'll attract wolves and bears. And a lot of folks live here that have kind of hobby farms, or have some horses, have some sheep, goats, chickens. Those things need to be secure and have a safe place to be at night, because otherwise you're going to be attracting predators, and then you'll have some losses. So we don't want to encourage predators to start associating humans and human households with food. So if wolves are approaching your house or approaching you while you're out hiking, do your best to scare them away. Unlike bears, we get some bear attacks that are defensive in nature, and they respond to you by attacking you. And in that case, you want to, be non-threatening and play dead and wait for the attack to be over and not move until they're well gone. With wolves and with lions, if you get attacked by them, the best thing to do is to fight as much as you can. Bear spray works great on all critters, and actually works very well on wolves as well. So the best thing to do is keep your distance. Always keep your distance from wolves, and with any predator, never run, because that their instinct to chase things that run away kicks in. With wolves, hopefully the fear of humans outweighs that instinct to chase. And for the most part, that seems to be the case, but it's generally not a good idea to run away from predators. So if you do see wolves while you're out hiking, stay calm, try to leave the area slowly, make some noise, stand tall, let them know that you are a human. That's the big thing, is let them know that you're a human being. When you see wolves out in the wild, a lot of times if they don't know what you are, or they haven't seen many humans before, they may stand and stare at you. If you're near a den site or pups or a rendezvous site or possibly a kill, they may bark at you and try and intimidate you into leaving the area. You may or may not see them. You may just hear them. A lot of times they'll be barking, but you won't even be able to see them, because they know you're human, and they're trying to hide from you while trying to encourage you to leave the area, is what they're doing. And we've seen where wolves have escorted humans, especially with dogs, out of an area, that follow you. That's not necessarily an aggressive behavior. It can be interpreted as an aggressive behavior. It's more of making sure that the threat has left the area. So with hunters with meat, if you have game animals, you want to take the same precautions you would with bears, and remove the meat, hang it in a tree, or get it out of the area where the carcass and gut pile are. Very rarely do we see wolves usurping people's harvested animals, even if they're shot and not found until the next day. Very rarely are wolves going in there and consuming that critter overnight. Bears will be on it as soon as they find it. They're not going to wait around. I think the human scent or the strangeness of the situation discourages wolves. It takes them a while to overcome their fear of weird human, related stuff. So yeah. But again, bear spray, if you were to come up on a kill or a harvested animal that you are trying to pack meat out and there's wolves on it, they're probably going to, as soon as they know you're there, they're going to disappear. Unlike a bear that may try and defend that animal. So again, bear spray. One of the big things we have in Montana, everyone who wants to come here, live here, recreate, and take their dogs with them. Of course, it's a great place to hike with your dogs, and that can put people in the crosshairs with wolves, or put wolves in the crosshairs, I guess, because wolves are very territorial. I think Smith was talking about wolves in the park, very territorial. Wolves will have battles over territory, and outside the park we have the same thing, except wolves view dogs basically as competition, is basically the same as another wolf intruding on their territory. A lot of times we won't see much in the way of a response. There's dogs everywhere, but during the breeding season, or if there's pups nearby, they'll become more aggressive toward dogs, whether they're hiking or they come down to a neighboring ranch and kill the dogs on the ranch or something like that. So we have seen that. One thing to do in that situation is, keep your dog close is always a good idea. In Montana, you want to have your dog close enough where you know where the dog is all the time, and you can see the dog and have verbal command if it's not on a leash. If something strange happens, you see an animal, get that dog close, out of heel with you. If a dog, situations where we've had is people are hiking with their dogs, the dogs are up ahead of them, they see wolves out in a meadow or something, or smell wolves and start running toward them, either to, bark at them and chase them away, or try and play with them. And we've had situations where dogs have run up to wolves and they all wag and play and then, you know, go on their way. We've had other situations where it doesn't end well for the dogs. And a lot of times the dogs will come back to the humans, and sometimes whether it's a bear or a wolf, pack of wolves, to try and chase those dogs. With wolves, they'll get very focused on what they're chasing. If something's run away, whether it's a deer, an elk, or a dog, they're going to be focused on that critter and chasing it. And you want to make sure that you get that wolf's attention. Try and come between the dog and the wolf if you can safely do that. And make sure that give that wolf every chance to know that you're there. Clap, yell, run at it, so that it knows it's human and will run away. A lot of times on these heavily used trails, the wolves know that dogs and humans are often together, and they'll figure that out. But in other situations, you know, you don't want your dog and wolves getting into a tussle. If they do, again, same thing with a dog fight. You don't want to reach in there and try and pull your dog out. But perhaps a good solution is to spray them both with bear spray, and let them have it. And you know your dog's going to fare better after a dose of bear spray that gets rid of the wolf than letting the wolf continue to tear into your dog. So the lesser of two evils there. So if you're living on the edge of the wilderness, forested areas, and you let your dogs out at night, maybe flip the lights on. Maybe yell out the door, say something. Let if there's anything out there like a bear, lion, wolf, you know, let them know that you're out there. Don't just open the door and let the dogs run out, charging out into the night where who knows what's out there. It's not really a great idea to have them go charging out and chasing deer down either in the middle of the night. So it can not end well. So flip the lights on. Just, you know, if there is a critter out there, let them know that there's humans around and the dogs are coming out. So, and then, you know, if you do have livestock or pets, people can defend outside the parks, even if wolves are behaving the way they're supposed to, or not, or being curious and getting into trouble. Either way, people are able to defend themselves, their children, grandchildren, their pets, their livestock from wolves and other predators. And with wolves, they're no longer threatened or endangered in the state. They're a harvested animal that we are managing, and just like with black bears, they do cause conflict sometimes. And people are able to, in Montana, Senate Bill 200, it passed back in 2013, allows private citizens on private property to defend, to kill wolves in response to perceiving that those wolves as a threat. They don't have to be attacking, in the middle of attacking anything. If the wolves are on their private property and those folks feel that those wolves are a threat or will be a threat, they're legally allowed to shoot those animals. It has to be reported within 24 hours. If you do have an animal, livestock, or pet killed by wolves, let Fish, Wildlife, and Parks know. Wildlife Services is the agency that investigates depredations of livestock. And if you have a depredation, a dead animal, it's a dead calf, dead cow, dead horse, goats, whatever, the best thing to do is to cover that animal up so nothing else comes and continues to feed on it, so that the evidence is preserved. They can look for bite marks. Lions have a way that they attack. Generally, bears have a different way of attacking, and wolves have their own unique way of attacking, and they can look for hemorrhaging on the hide, do an investigation, and confirm whether or not those critters were killed by wolves. We have a lot of critters that die and then are found and scavenged by coyotes, wolves, bears, and that's fairly common too. But there are occasions where things are killed by wolves or bears. So the only way to get compensated for that is, through the Livestock Loss Board, and Wildlife Services has to confirm that those depredations were caused by wolves or bear or lion. And also, since last year, I believe, you have to actually have paid your livestock fees for the year to get compensated, which is only fair. So we can answer questions like that if people have specific livestock related questions for predator losses, or you can figure that stuff out on the Livestock Loss Boards page as well. And there's a lot of preventative stuff that can be done to keep wolves from, getting a reward of dog food, chickens, any kind of livestock that they can get to. We have lots of methods for prevention that can be used as well. So I think that was supposed to be a quick summary of things, and we have a lot of resources, and you can feel free to contact me or your local fish, wildlife, and parks if you do have questions about how to try to prevent having conflicts involving wolves or other predators in your neighborhood, or if you're out recreating somewhere. And I'll wrap it up. Thanks.